we're still in the finalization of the process. But there were actually a couple of bidders on the property, but nothing for like 10 years now. So
Except I got married at 7 weeks.
Okay.
Occupy a seat.
Recording, we're good. Oh, we need to.
Hang on, we got a double feedback going on. Where would I turn off?
In the box.
Okay,
Ready when you are, sir.
Okay. All right, we'll call the meeting to order, the Wayne County Industrial Development Agency at 9:53. Motion to approve the February 23rd, 2022 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second,
Thanks, Kay. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Okay, audit discussion.
Do we have our auditors?
More, yeah.
There we go.
straight line with that too, and then get it right out of your way. Next one in for- oh, no, that's fine.
Maura, the floor is yours.
Okay. Now, because this one is live streamed, do you want me to review the rep document again, or are we good skipping?
No, that's
over?
fine. No, you're fine.
Okay. So we can skip down to the IDA's financial statements. Where in the past, this used to be the one entity that had a lot of moving parts. With the transfer of the loans to the EDC, the presentation of this has become a little bit simpler. Great. So the audit report, as we noted earlier, we will be issuing an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. The report does have a revised format in accordance with our standards, but essentially the information included is very comparable to the prior year. The IDA statements do include a management's discussion and analysis. This was reviewed in detail yesterday with the audit committee. And we noted to management if there was any additional comments they would like added to this section, we can make those adjustments prior to issuance. But what this does is it gives a 3-year comparison of the agency's activity. And this covers pages 4 through 8 of the financial statements. So on the statements of net position, as you can see here, the total assets and deferred outflows did remain fairly consistent year over year. I mean, the biggest change that you can see relates to the accounts receivable. And this relates to at year end, there was a $20,000 receivable from Empire State Development. And then the remaining balance is from Northern Development Turbine. But really your cash activity remained consistent. You had your certificate of deposit, your property and equipment. There was no additions for the current year. So that decrease that is showing relates strictly to your depreciation expense, which was just over a couple $1,000s. And then the deferred outflows of resources, this relates to the pension activity, which will be updated going forward. There are certain 10-year requirements for the financial statements to include this information. So as we noted yesterday in our meeting, we will continue to review this annually for when that can drop off the financial statements. And this last portion, it does relate to Marie for when she was paid by the IDA. There's minimal accounts payable activity as well as contract advances. So your current liabilities showed a decrease of about $114,000 year over year. Again, the deferred inflows of resources, this again relates to the pension. The footnote disclosures, this is in note 8, does go into more detail about this. And again, we will continue to monitor this for when it can drop off the financial statements. So for the IDA, your total net position is just about 2.1 million. The net investment in plant assets, the 405,000, That will always agree to your property and equipment net total, which was above. And the remaining portion of your net position is unrestricted at about 1.7 million. For the current year for your revenues, the contract services and grants, a few of the items here relates to funding received, from the county through the resolutions that the IDA has in place for their funding, as well as there was some industrial site planning proceeds or funds that were received last year that were not received in 2021. The agency and administrative fees, the drop here, this line item essentially relates to the pilot agreements and the new pilots that the IDA puts in place. So for this year, there was 2 new pilot agreements. Your expenses, again, when you take out the program expense from the last year, that related specifically to the industrial site planning, and then the contractual services were some of the with the lower funding received for certain under certain contracts, you would expect to see a decrease in those contractual services line items as well. As we had mentioned, the depreciation accounted for just over a couple $1,000. So your total expenses were at $117,000. The non-operating income that shows here, this was relating to the transfers from the loans last year to the EDC. So then we have the change in net position for the current year of about $89,000. Your cash activity, not a significant change. Your cash flows from operating activities were about $1,700. And then your cash flows from investing activities, just $513. And that related to some investment income and the change in value of the certificate of deposits. So your net change in cash and cash equivalents was about $2,200. If we flip to the next page, note 1, as we had noted before, relates to the summary of significant accounting policies. In the wrap document, we did note some of the upcoming accounting pronouncements. Those are also included in note 1. You have the breakdown of your net position. So there wasn't really any updates to note 1 when comparing to the prior year financial statements. The note 2, deposits and investments, that relates to your CD. And the terms of the current CD in place. And then we show a breakdown of the cash activity between your, the carrying amount, your bank balance, and then the coverage by the FDIC insurance, as well as the pledge collateral, which we receive third-party reports for those totals. The related party transactions, we do talk about the contractual services between the between the agency and the county. And then the related entities in all sets of statements, we include the relationship between the EDC and the CFTC. Notes 4 and 5, because these statements are comparative, this is in for the current year, but this relates to the loan activity. So again, no activity for 21, we're only showing the 2020 schedules. Note 6, again, this is the breakdown of the property and equipment net amount that shows on your the balance sheet. So we have land of about $400,000 and equipment of just over $32,000. And then we back out the accumulated depreciation on just the equipment, as the land is not depreciated. Note 7, the payment in lieu of taxes. We note that there were 37 pilots for the current year. And those had payments of about 1.2 million. So note 8 carries on for a couple pages. This is all required disclosures for the pension line items that are on the financial statements. So we don't have to review this in detail. Note 9, your budget comparison. We do take your budget from the website, And the actual figures are those that were presented in the earlier schedules. The next two pages are the required supplementary information based on the pension activity. So as you can see, those have showed zeros for the last couple of years. Next is the required the footnotes for those pensions. Now, if anybody can read this, this is the project information. So this is the pilot agreements that are currently in place. We do complete testing on this, and then on these two pages do include specific information related to those pilots. And then the last two pages are the report for the government auditing standards. So if there's any questions on the IDA financial statements, we'd be happy to answer those.
I'm good.
Do you want to do pairs?
I think the highlights for the audit for you guys are decrease in pilot activity. So there was the lights here. Jamie, if you want to go back to what was it, the middle of the report there, that page.
You guys gotta move more.
I've asked them to adjust
Sound like
the
Venus is
motion
still-
sensor. They say it's as good as it can be there. We're almost there. Keep going. Right there, right. Yep. No, okay. So you'll notice the difference between 2020 and 2021. Those two top lines there are really the big difference between the IDA in 2020 and the IDA in 2021. Those numbers are generally affected. So agency administration fees directly affected by the amount of pilot activity. We saw a dip in 2021. You know, you can blame it on the economy or COVID, but that's the decrease there effectively in that second line item. And then the top line item, contractual services and grants, is effectively two county funded budget items accessible by the IDA, let's say three line items. So one is a line item that I eliminated completely from our county budget that is what we call special projects. So the county funds us at $165,000, or has historically funded $165,000 worth of funding that we use mainly as matching funds for grants that I removed from our 2021 budget because of requests from the County Board of Supervisors and administration to reduce our county budget. So that's a pretty substantial decrease there. We continue to push down another county funded line item that we call contracted services. That is what we have historically used for our quarterly audits and outside assistance on general management that when I started was 135,000, went down to 85 and then 50, and I'm looking to push down again simply as a function of the capacity that we have internally with staff. And I think that given the staff we have now, we can handle loan review, auditing, fiscal management stuff that historically we had paid for. And then the last one is more referred to the industrial site fund, which is funded by the county that we have access to via resolutions and authorization by this board and the county board on accessing funds to do site improvements to accommodate new development projects. So we had a project in 2020 that was expansion of a road, sewer, and water to accommodate a project that we ended up supporting through a pilot for a company called CNC Automatics. So the infrastructure funding was 1/3 of the total cost provided by the IDA, or excuse me, provided by the county, but funded through the IDA to accommodate that new business growth project. So that's the main highlights, I think, of the audit as a whole. So you'll see some substantial differences in those two line items in our audit, and that's the effective short description of why you see those decreases. Any questions on the audit or for Maura or for Chris?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
If not, Maura, Chris, you guys are off the hook. Thank you for the time this morning.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Have a great
Have a
day.
nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jamie, if you want to review the annual report.
Do I need to get a resolution?
We're gonna do
Jamie's
Paris.
gonna do
Oh,
annual report,
okay.
and then
Paris.
we're almost there.
We're almost there.
Gotcha.
Okay, next, just in the other two entities
Oh, okay.
is the annual parish report and the certified financial audit report. So for the IDA, the annual report is much larger than the other ones we were looking at. This one is all of 91 pages, so we won't go through every single page, but it goes through the authority. So this is our policies, our procedures, where they are listed on our website, and if we've monitored them every this 2021 year. Next is board related. Along with each and every board member. And then with our staff. Any subsidiaries. Now, these are the draft financials that were just reviewed with EFPR. These are this plugged into Paris. Now, the next section's on here. This is what takes up the remainder of the 91 pages. Each pilot project for the 2021 year is reported on. Along in here includes any of the exemptions that are related to the county, the town, the school, the library, village, anything like that. If there's any 485B exemptions along with that parcel, any pilot payments that were made from the company themselves. Along below with the jobs reporting. So what they began with, what they created, or what they commit to creating, the salaries related to them, along with what their FTE job number was as of 12/31/2021. And then if there was any net employment changes here. Now, along with here, we also include any notes. So this helps with the Paris auditors, along with our auditors, EFPR, to associate a difference between what 2020's Paris report reported compared to this year. So you'll see, there was changes in tax rates, there were changes in assessment values related to this specific parcel, and if there's any FTE changes. Now, as we mentioned before, in April, we will be diving into this a little deeper. We have another presentation set up to show the FTEs and per pilot. But if this is a report that goes on our website, so that anybody has that free access to that information.
Good.
Any questions for Jamie or me or anyone on any of this stuff?
A lot of stuff.
It is a lot of
It is
stuff,
a
a significant amount of reporting requirements from our pilot customers. A lot of reporting to the state, but very confident in the numbers that we provide to them, and we're very diligent about following up and confirming job creation requirements as a relative to our pilot and contract management work.
Okay,
Any questions?
good.
Motion to approve.
Yep, I get a motion to approve the.
So moved.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
I printed earlier, so I had an idea. Mhm.
So we have an initial project resolution for a pilot application we received this last month. This is for a new Chevy Corvette showroom in the town of Macedon. So this is, ooh, that's all right.
So, yeah.
This is our initial project resolution. Happy to entertain any questions anyone has on this project. Hearing none, would entertain a motion to approve the initial resolution.
So moved.
And second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Jamie, back to you.
Next part are just our bank balances. Honestly, everything is very similar to last month, especially for the IDA. We have our meat checking, our normal savings, along with our extra savings and our CD.
Any questions for Jamie? Okay.
Good.
I gave you guys some updates in the Economic Development Corporation meeting, but again, I mean, with New York is the governor 2 weeks ago announced, forgot to mention the name, but the new market ready program is called FAST, FAST. Don't ask me what the acronym stands for, but from what I understand, I think I said, so 200 million budgeted in this initial year of this program. Again, I expect that this will continue in subsequent budget years, but it's effectively shovel-ready site funds. And we're moving forward with a business park study to put us in a position to leverage those funds.
Oh, sorry.
Questions regarding prevailing wage continue. This comes up effectively every time I'm in any discussion relative to the IDA business. As a quick update, if you can recall, the state last year, we through the budget process adopted a policy to require prevailing wage for projects that are $5 million or more and that receive benefits in total of more than 30% of their total project cost, including the full sum of the benefits provided by the IDA. So the sum of the benefits provided by the IDA and then additional grant funding would sum the total that projects are required to report and manage on the basis of requiring prevailing wage for the workers on that particular project. For the most part, this is a pretty straightforward, other than I'll say solar projects continue to be a question mark on how this is going to work. There's a lot of moving parts relative to solar here and the business of the IDA and the annual contract management and the provision of benefits. Because assessments for solar projects are going to start adjusting every year. So as that assessment adjusts, the benefit provided by the IDA also adjusts. So we'll have to monitor and manage the sum of those benefits over time to be sure that a project does not exceed the threshold. It's pretty ridiculous. Not sure this was fully fleshed out at the state level, but there's supposed to be a board established to help review and support analysis of projects, not staffed, not determined who will be on that board. So a lot of questions out there relative to everything, including what constitutes total project costs, whether it's soft or hard costs, et cetera. So since we're discussing it, additional discussion, I'll say, I mean, this is probably the topic among IDA directors is additional solar project development. And then subsequently farmland protection. So, you know, as you guys probably know, IDAs are empowered to provide pilot benefits for projects that impact towns, counties, school districts. No specific project approval for general projects, but as a policy, we are, you know, we look for support for projects supported by the IDA from all those taxing jurisdictions. Farmland protection is a huge topic of discussion, probably in, I would imagine every town in Wayne County, if not every town in New York, but particularly in Wayne County, given the amount of farming activity we have here, the quality of the soils, if you will, and I'm learning about soil quality as we go here, but effectively Wayne County has a lot of great soil, and the use of farmland for solar project development, you know, farms are ideal because they're cleared, they're flat, and we do have a high capacity transmission line running directly across Wayne County, west to east. So we just submitted as a department an application to the New York State Ag and Markets to help update the county's farmland protection plan with a focus on renewable energy and recommendations at the local level. So the county has a farmland protection plan, last updated in 2012, but certainly due for an update, and in particular relative to the balance of accommodating whether it's industrial project development, renewable energy development, and the local interest in farmland protection and the tools and the ability for communities to maintain rural character and accommodate new project development, again, whether it's renewable energy or otherwise. So I'm pretty confident we'll get that grant, and we'll walk through the process of updating our farmland protection plan. And it will, in fact, and I think the most important part is that it trickles down to the towns and the villages who have land use control and policy control relative to approval of projects. So it's a very convoluted, long-winded way of saying we're interested in farmland protection and the accommodation of economic growth. And we're looking at doing a study that will help guide those policies, and whether it's at the local level or through the IDA. I'll address this now, though it could fall in executive director updates or other business. Everyone, I think, hopefully is familiar with the business park in the town of Ontario, where we have several pilot applications and projects, including Intergrow, Optimax, OptiPro, probably a couple others that I'm not, Ranger Design. That park, substantial growth over the last 10 years. The town, through a grant from the Genesee Regional Transportation Council, did a study to evaluate traffic in the park and determine the need and a concept for a new egress and access point, which effectively would be a county town line road west of the park, but would also open up a significant amount of new acreage to kind of fill out that business park. So effectively everything from Optimax going west over to County Town Line Road. Had a discussion with their economic development at the town. His name is Bill Riddell last week, who is interested in moving forward with full engineering of road, water, and sewer based on the concept completed by the consultant the last couple months. That would involve splitting the full engineering costs of that 5 ways effectively between the 3 property owners who own the property there, potentially the IDA and the town. So the total project cost and the scope of work proposed by BME, engineering firm here, if some of you guys might be familiar with, $83,750 total, of which they have requested that the IDA potentially support at a level of $16,750. I'll leave that there for discussion. If there's any questions, I think that this is good work for the IDA to be supporting. We would likely recover those funds and then some through agency fees relative to other projects being developed in the business park. But interested in a discussion and or a commitment from the board to support the engineering work to help accommodate growth in the Ontario Business Park at a dollar amount of $16,750.
Questions, comments?
How many
What do you
new-
think, Scott?
I'm on board. Wayne County's open for business. Keep expanding.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
How many new acres would become available if they extended this road?
Let's see here. We're looking at, I believe it's something around 64 acres, or somewhere between 64 and 84. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. It's not quite 100 acres, but it's a substantial amount of property. And in the town of Ontario in particular, they would say they're quote unquote, they're out of land for industrial project development. I have a map. I can reference it.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Is it possible to use project planning funds, or would it strictly be from?
This is for engineering. So industrial site funds. You mean, or project planning?
Project planning funds.
Um,
We've done studies for like Galen and Savannah using them.
We could. So Jamie's suggestion is that the county, so in 2022, I mentioned this one in the review of our audit, but I added back $165,000 in our county budget that helps support what we call project planning funds. Generally, I like to reserve that as matching funds for grants, but this could be a use of those funds, or it could be IDA dollars. It's up to discussion, but I had a meeting or a discussion with Bill Riddell about this. I think it was Friday afternoon last week. So I told him I would bring it here for discussion. Okay, what do you think? I'll put some folks on the spot
Questions,
here.
comments?
On board with the general idea?
Yeah, I'm on board.
The idea here. Pam's
I'm on
nodding her
board.
head. Jeannie, what do you think? Nods are fine, but
Excuse me. Yeah, bringing more to the county. I'm in favor.
Bob?
I'm in favor of it.
Keep us posted.
Yeah,
Will do. I did, under development and discussion, I expect a formal proposal from the town in short order, but I thought I'd bring this to the table, at least to understand that we're in support of, this is soft cost stuff, right? That will lead to new project development. Other than that, I don't have any other updates or new business to bring to the board or for discussion. I don't know if anyone else has anything else they'd like to discuss this morning.
Not sure what you did in your microphone department, Brian, but you and Jamie are coming through very clearly. Thank you.
It's great.
Yes.
Sure.
yeah,
I
very
will-
good. Thank you.
I will relay your comments to the county IT director. He, I don't know if you probably can't see it, but well, maybe you can. There's a new microphone here that,
Go Matt. Good.
yeah, go Matt here. And I'll say, I'm hopeful over the next, I'm not going to commit him to anything over the next several months here, but we're going to get a new camera too. That should help a lot with, the kind of long distance fisheye view that everybody has at the board table here. So
Yeah.
audio and video updates as available through our superstar IT director.
Yeah, it's not fair. You get to see our wrinkles, but we don't get to see yours.
Correct.
I think it's perfect.
We like it.
I'll do my best to edit these comments out of our recording here.
That's all right.
Yes, okay. But unless there's any other business, I think the next meeting, April 27th.
Yep, April 27th. Motion to adjourn.
I'm making
So
a
move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. Have a great
good
day.
good day, everyone.
Come on. Come on.